Hi everyone, welcome to the Here's My Story channel. My name is Sadie. I'm 15 years old. Yes, 15. Obviously, I'm aware that I look like I'm 60, but I'm still a teenager. The reason I look old is because I have a very rare genetic disorder. We all have a gene that regulates our growth hormone. That's why most people age at more or less the same rate. But for some reason, my gene does not control my growth in the same way. As a result, my body grows 4 times faster than it's supposed to. When I was just a year old, I looked like I was 4. And when I was 5, people thought I was 20. At 11, I looked like a 40-year-old woman. And now that I'm 15, I already look like I'm 60. Because of this, I've had a very unusual life. How do you live when you look 4 times older than you really are? That's what I want to tell you about. When I was 3 years old, my mom took me to a shopping mall. Because of my condition, I already looked like I was 12. You know how there are people dressed up as different characters in shopping malls to entertain kids? I started following someone in a mouse costume because I really loved mice. My mom was so busy looking for clothes, she didn't realize I disappeared. I kept following this person all the way to the other side of the mall. When I looked around and didn't see my mom, I panicked. I began crying and screaming. Of course, that's normal for a 3-year-old. To give you an idea of the mental development of a 3-year-old, I knew apples were red and bananas were yellow, but I didn't know what color a carrot was. A security guard came up to me and asked me why I was crying. "I want Mom!" I screamed. He said, "Okay, don't cry, we'll make an announcement and she'll come pick you up. What's your mother's name?" I kept crying and said, "I don't know, I just call her Mom." He was shocked since he thought he was talking to a 12-year-old. Thankfully, I knew my own name. They were able to make an announcement saying, "A girl named Sadie has been found," and my mom had to run in a panic and pick me up. I had a horrible childhood because of my condition. Imagine me as a 5-year-old. I was holding my mom's hand walking down the street. I was playing with Barbies all the time. I talked like a 5-year-old kid, but I looked like I was 20. Most people assumed I had some kind of intellectual disability. They thought I just acted like a 5-year-old even though I was 20. When in fact, it was the opposite. I was a 5-year-old kid who happened to look 20 years old. When I was born, everything was fine. I wasn't even a big baby, but after 6 months, I started growing incredibly fast. Doctors didn't understand what was going on. There was even one doctor who thought this rapid growth was due to my mother's milk. He tested my mom's milk in a lab, but couldn't find anything wrong with it. Eventually, they realized it was a genetic condition. That's how I was diagnosed. Because of the way I looked, I didn't have any friends growing up. All the other kids were scared of me, and they were right to be scared. They didn't invite me to their birthday parties. Once, when I was 5, a new manager was transferred to my mom's office from another city. When she found out that my mom had a 5-year-old daughter, she said, "My daughter is turning 5 this weekend. We're throwing her a little birthday party. Since we just moved here, she doesn't have any friends yet. She would be so happy if your daughter came." My mom knew what was going to happen, but since it was her new manager who invited her, she didn't want to say no. That Sunday, we went to their house for the birthday party. We rang the bell. My mom's manager opened the door. When she saw me, she was super confused. My mom was standing there with a 20-year-old holding a Barbie doll. All I could think about was the birthday cake. I screamed, "Is it a fruitcake or a chocolate cake? Can I blow out the candles too?" The manager was stunned. She said, stuttering, I thought your daughter was 5. My poor mom, all she could say was, "Sadie is 5, but she grows a little faster than other kids." I was so excited to be invited to a party for the first time that I ran around nonstop. Everyone was scared of me, but I wasn't old enough to realize that yet. There was a female clown at the party. I liked her a lot. I told her, "I really need to pee. Can you take me to the bathroom?" She was scared of me too. I'm sure if a 20-year-old had told you something like that, you'd be scared too. Maybe you saw the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Brad Pitt plays the main character who also has a genetic disorder similar to mine, except in his case, he is born old and gets younger with time. It's the exact opposite of my condition. Benjamin Button is the protagonist of the movie and he looks like a very old guy. But as time goes by, he gets younger. By the time he turns 80, he has become a baby. I wonder what I'll be like as I keep getting older. My doctors are also curious. I'm being examined regularly. Even though I look like I'm 60, my internal organs are like that of a normal 15-year-old. When I'm 30, I will look 120, but my organs will still be healthy. The oldest person ever lived to 122. When I'm 50, I will look like I'm 200. No one knows what a 200-year-old would look like. Thanks to me, everyone will find out. To be honest, this both scares me and excites me. I told you I had no friends when I was growing up. Thankfully, that's not the case anymore. My friends have accepted me and the way I look. They call me Auntie Sadie. It doesn't bother me. I think it's funny. Everyone at school calls me that, even some of the teachers. You might think that I'm bullied at school, but luckily I'm not. Of course, there is a group of bullies in my school, but they never do anything to me. The reason is simple. I look like their grandma, so they treat me like they treat their grandmas. Once I found out that they were harassing one of my friends. I got really angry. I went to talk to them. I said, "Why did you do that to my friend?" The meanest kid in the group said, "We didn't know he was your friend. I'm sorry, Auntie Sadie." Sometimes my friends take advantage of how I look. Normally, they wouldn't be able to go see R-rated movies unless they went with an adult, and their parents usually don't want to go with them. But if they go with me, problem solved. Not a single movie theater employee has ever been suspicious of me. We usually go to see horror movies. I don't particularly like them, but I tolerate them from my friends. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks so much. As you can see, I've made my peace with how I look. The biggest issue I have right now is my clothes. I dress like a normal 15-year-old girl. Sometimes people on the street give me weird looks. Of course, they think I'm a 60-year-old woman dressed like a teenager. For some reason, this bothers people. Once a woman made fun of me saying, "Puberty usually only lasts a few years, but I see yours has lasted for 50. Not everyone is that mean. Some people find it adorable that I dress like this. I love roller skating. They love seeing an old lady in colorful clothing on roller skates. They stop me and say, "You're awesome. I hope I will be as active as you are when I'm your age. What's your secret?" I don't think someone who is 60 would have the same amount of energy I have, but I want to keep them dreaming, so I tell them, work out as much as you can and eat a vegetarian diet. Actually, there's one other issue that I'm a little hesitant to talk about, but since I already told you everything, I might as well open up about this as well. The truth is that I will never, ever have a boyfriend. Don't you agree? I look 4 times older than people my age, and I'm 4 times younger than people that look like me. I'll never find anyone who's my age in both ways. It's sad but true. I will never have a relationship. Some of you might be wondering, can you get treatment for this disorder? Unfortunately, no. Scientists only know which genes cause this issue, and that's it. Maybe someday they will develop a treatment, but that's definitely not an option at the moment. When I was little, I used to tell myself, I will become a doctor and find a cure for my disease. But now I understand that this was a coping mechanism I created for myself, because I was going through a very difficult time. I had to convince myself that one day I was going to get well and all my issues would magically disappear. But I'm all grown up now, and I know a miracle cure does not exist. So I realized that I needed another coping mechanism, and I found something way cooler. Now I say to myself, be proud of yourself. You're a miracle of nature. Yes, I'm a miracle of nature. You're looking at someone who's growing 4 times faster than other people. I'm 15, but I look 60. And when I'm 50, I will look like I'm 200. Don't you think that's a miracle? Thanks for listening to my story. Please subscribe to get notifications when new videos drop. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Bye!